Continue this Kasparov 70 series. What's going on? 1976, Gary's like 13, and we have classical Rui Lopez. This is the way many people used to play back in the day. This was like the main line with Queen C7. Okay, D4, Queen C7, D5. I don't know how booked up Gary is. This B4 is okay. I guess it's theory, and the main idea is if the knight goes back to B7, it just never has any hope of going anywhere. You see the squares have covered. The square is covered. Only D8 is available, and then these two squares are covered. You got nowhere to go. If the F pawn moves to try to bring it to F7, there's more weaknesses than light squares. So this is the main point. Bishop D7, Bishop D2, maybe threatening to play C4 at some point, but you'd rather play B4, but you don't want to play B4 and let him go knight C4. You kind of want to wait until he goes back to B7 before you go B4. So rook C8, Bishop D3. Bishop E8 and Bishop F1. So what's going on with this Bishop F1? Like, why Bishop F1? Kind of a hard move to spot. But C4, maybe he's just going knight B7 anyway. C4 would be threatening bishop takes A5, right? But maybe the point of bishop F1 is if you go C4, maybe you can play knight takes B3. And when you take, he plays pawn takes pawn. So it's kind of prophylaxis against this idea. And then this is, I don't know why he moved away exactly. It might not be the best, because you might want to wait for him to go C4. Right, the B5 is defended by the bishop on E8, and because once he's probably find something else, maybe bishop D8, Queen B8, and then bishop B6 maybe. Bishop could be good on B6, and it also helps to reinforce the knight on A5. But going back here, B4 perhaps is very annoying now. Now you don't get these knight C4 jumps anymore, and I'm a little bit confused. Kasparov showing some really cool. Now he goes bishop D8. Really cool maneuvering for a kid, right? And now look at this. So he takes this and puts pressure on the weakness. And, well, the only way to defend this is to make a big pawn on B5, which kind of sucks, and then he goes back. And this is already pretty good position for white, but the way he does this is very impressive. Keep in mind, he's like 2,200 or something, and he's playing in this like very tough Moscow field against strong players, and this is hard to imagine to take this. I don't think any human would take this that I know, not yet. To me, it would be wise to wait, to make some knight F1 and rook E2, rook A2. Take over the A file first. I suppose he's thinking that if he goes knight F1, the pressure's off the C pawn. Maybe he gets to jump back. He doesn't want to let him jump back. But still, I mean, you go rook E2, rook A2. If you can get it in, maybe he tries to play A5 when the bishop has gone back to E8. So maybe there's no time to play knight F1. Well, there's knight F1, bishop E8, rook E2. maybe there's a5 there, you know. And if you're playing b5, then he gets his knight c5 jump. But then c4 is hanging. It's very hard. I don't know about taking this bishop on b5. It's weird, but it's very concrete. And why is it concrete? What's his point? What's his point? Well, his point is this is very advanced. Like, this is very advanced. He understands that the bishop stung, but the knight is worse. Like, literally, the knight has no squares, no hope, no future. And that he has very active play. And the only square, like I said earlier, you're going to come like bishop e7, knight d8, f6, knight f7. But then you're making Swiss cheese on the king side. Your pawn's on f6, you go knight f1, knight g3, queen g4, knight f5 is coming. It's going to be a big attack. And your knight still stinks on f7. He's got nowhere to go. Like, you're just going to get an attack. And it's so he saw that this knight was just kind of hopeless. And he went for this Karpov style thing. And it's just, hey, to understand this at 13 and play, well, this is a bad move, g5. Probably should try something different. Maybe some, I don't know what to say. There's really, there aren't too many good ideas here. It's very cramped, squished, and made the weakness here, and he knight hops in, and this is another power shot. Queen d2. Just, you can't move the pawn because queen h6 is mate, and he simply threatens to play queen takes g5. And, or maybe he just leaves you in zugzwang. Like, maybe he doesn't take on g5. You literally don't have any moves. And he just plays king g2, king g1, makes you run out of moves. That's another idea. Because the second you move from b8, it's like rook b6 is happening. It puts you back in the pin and then makes zugzwang again. I didn't even think of that before. Like, when I saw this game, I was like, it's literally going to be zugzwang, isn't it? Maybe it just goes king g1, king g, and rook b6. Where are you moving? I guess you can go rook c7 also. No, you can't. You can't go rook c7. Rook on b6, rook c7, or knight takes d6 happens. Literally zugzwang. But also, queen takes g5 is gonna win too if you trade, and king takes g5, and you can play knight d6 there. The knight can't take on d6. The rook on d7 is hanging. If he takes with the rook, it's rook takes b7. If you play rook c6, dc6 defends the rook on b7, or you can choose to take on b8. You can do it any way you like. This is he resigned, by the way. This is zugzwangy kind of. I think he would go for the zugzwang. Kasparov likes to be clever. There's a little devil inside that boy. But wow, I mean, just going back here, I mean, the way and this guy's 2,400. I mean, 2,400 FIDE player. Just wiped him out. I am curious because this is a very standard position you get from Chigorin. So, knight b7. I'm curious if there's a better move here. h6. We'll go to analysis board for a second because more lines here. Bishop d8 pops in. Yeah, bishop d8, smart. Bishop d8. I would play bishop d8. I know h6 is classical too, but sort of, I don't know how much I love those weaknesses. Bishop d8 would be my number one. Okay. What the hell? Let's go back. All right, great game. The next one I want to show you is, where is it hiding? Oh, this thing. This thing is Okay, Elmar. Interesting name. It's a pretty famous game, guys. And then again, this is a pretty normal position. Queen b3, and then you take this, and I think the modern way is to play, well, I don't know if it's modern, but it's bishop d3, and then you castle kingside, rook e1, and go for e4. Rook e1, rook d1, and go for e4 fast. You get IQP, you get the d4 thing, but you have enough activity to offset the weakness. That's the main thing, but this is also theory. But I don't know if it's good theory. Like, I don't know about knight d4 here. This might not be the way. And if you're going to play like this, why is the queen on b3? She'd much rather be on c2. So you don't get tempoed by knight c5. As you see in this game, white just gets crushed from here. And the problem with this is knight c5, knight e6. Your king is still stuck. You see, you should. That's why you have to develop your pieces first in castle before you go for these operations, because this is already a problem. Because rook is coming on e8, and you sort of, what are you doing? You're already in contortions. So something didn't go right. You can't go bishop e2, bishop g2 is happening, knight f4 is happening. I mean, the guy must have sat here thinking for a while and come up with f3, and this is already a crushing blow. You can't take with the queen because knight d4 wins the queen, and you have to open the king, and now you're getting checked. Check, check, force him into the pin, attack, and centralize. So this is a big opening catastrophe, essentially. Rook d3, threatening rook f3, bishop is pinned, queen f2, knight f3. Can't do anything. Unbelievable. And you can't take it because this rook takes f3 as a pin. I mean, moves away. Rook e3. Now everything is frozen. You can't move the bishop. Rook e1 is happening. You can't take the knight because rook takes. The only piece that's gluing everything together is what? I mean, it's hopeless, but look at this nasty move now. For no reason at all. He didn't have to do that because this rook on g2 is pinned, but he kind of can't do anything. Now you just have to find the final idea. Add another unit to the attack. What unit? This one. Clear the knight from c3, and then e2 bishop is hanging. Can't, and here he just resigned. And your opponent's like 4'5", and he's hitting you with shots like this the whole game. So it was definitely a nightmare from start to finish. I just want to see how the computer feels about this position. Okay. Rook d1 at like number 1. I don't know if you need queen b3, But okay, he's saying he's fine. CB6. CB6, AB6, Bishop B5. Knight C5, Queen C2, Bishop takes C3, Rook A2. Okay. So it doesn't love. It just wants to pluck this thing on D5. And take on F6, Queen F6, Queen C3. So, yeah, that's interesting. That's a good question. Right, Knight D4 is just a very bad move. Why not to take this thing? Knight D4. So let's just see the evaluation now. It's just, so this is just a massive blunder. This is just a massive blunder. This is what you get for being too positional. If you learn anything from this game, you have to do the calculations, you have to analyze the tactics. Knight D4 off the top of one's head looks like a very good move. You leave the pawn isolated and you play chess, and maybe you think you're threatening, bishop B5 and trade off this bishop, or play bishop E2, bishop F3, thinking conceptually to leave the lonely dude on D5 forever, just totally overlooking this tidal wave of tactics. I mean, yeah, okay, let's look at it. Okay. Because obviously this has been analyzed. This has been analyzed. Yeah, knight F6, queen F6. And probably just feels, okay, is there any other? Yes, that's the point, is the knight is hitting the queen and the bishop's hitting the F3, and probably the guy didn't like that things were getting super spicy here. But he could have quelled the situation, could, cooled it down. I mean, I don't think Queen E7 is probably not a good move. He gets time. So yeah, you have to go for this. What's wrong with this? Okay, bishop F3, F3. I mean, what's wrong with this? You play this for white. It's nothing special. But again, this is a better idea against a child, first of all. If you always remember that, if you're playing a kid, this would be the way to go. But now black is very comfortable. This weakness on C3. And for an old positional player, if they were thinking about this ending, they wouldn't like that they had a weakness on C3, and understand that they might find themselves losing this pawn, and then two for one, two to one breakaway on the queen side. But the bishop is very strong. Like, it controls a lot of these squares. It's going to be hard to promote. Should be equal. Should be equal. But like traditional positional theory would tell you to blockade the isolated pawn. In this case, it's just no good. All right, we'll take you back to the final position here, and just so you can imprint something pretty in your brain for the day. Total paralysis.